Okay, hello everyone. We're going to get started. My name is Max Frischman. I'm the Director of Sales for Eagle Point Funding and Deep Tech Showcase. Thank you all for joining us today for this webinar. What we're going to look at is what exactly is Deep Tech Showcase, who's involved, the different type of players, the different type of interactions that this showcase has for the participants. If anyone has any questions at any time, please feel free to submit them to the Q&A portion or put them in the chat. Also, you can take a picture of the QR code at the bottom left hand of the corner of every single slide, and it'll bring you to my calendar link. Please feel free to schedule a call with me if you want to explore this further for your company or just learn more than what you'll learn on this webinar, because it's just a brief overview. So again, thank you for joining, and let's get started. Okay, so what is Deep Tech Showcase? It's virtually a members-only community for the big players in the deep tech ecosystem. It also is a sister company of Eagle Point Funding. Eagle Point Funding specializes in grant consulting, helping companies find, apply, and win federal grants and contracts. So where was the need? It was really two parts. The two different parts. The first is the development valley of death, which is virtually the time in between a phase 1 and a phase 2. Virtually, the company was missing securing MOUs by federal agencies, or they were lacking gaining strategic partners. The second part where we saw a need was what we call the innovation valley of death, and that's really the later stage between a phase 2 or a phase 3 where they're getting the sole contract, and they really just need capital and they need partners to bring on and continue their company and propel it even forward after working and finishing the different phase 2 and phase 3s from their current projects. So what Deep Tech Showcase have done, we virtually created a network that is beyond after a company wins a federal funding opportunity to really help them with the networking and business development side of things. It's doing three things. It's focusing on raising capital, helping the companies to raise capitals through investors, through strategic partners, also helping companies gain MOUs or contracts with different agencies, interacting with the different federal agency representatives, and hopefully being able to secure an MOU or a follow-on contract with one of them through the interaction. And third, it's finally partnerships with major corporations, really becoming a subcontractor or a subprime for a larger corporation, or even doing business with them. So we'll dive into all of those a little bit later. But first, the main mission of Deep Tech Showcase is really to help businesses and tech companies / startups to find investors, corporates, and federal agencies. And virtually what we are doing at Deep Tech Showcase to solve this, it is by having showcases, pitch events, different summits, and really mentoring / accelerating submissions in the grant funding process. But more so than that, the introductions. Who is involved in Deep Tech Showcase? There are two main players in this game. The first is the Deep Tech Showcase innovators, which are our small businesses, our startups. And then on the other side, we have Deep Tech Showcase stakeholders. So who is a stakeholder? They are three different people. They are three different agencies, organizations, companies. First is federal agency representatives from some of the DoD and non-DoD agencies, and all of course, because Deep Tech Showcase is new-ish, we are constantly growing and adding more and more and more people from all three of these categories. The second is major corporations, tech scouts, and then the third is VCs, angels, accelerators, incubators, virtually investors. So a company that is able to become a Deep Tech Showcase member, aside from the other three that we just talked about, in terms of what we require the company, the startup, to become a member, it's that they're developing deep technology. The second is the technology that they're developing has dual use and dual purpose. And finally, another prerequisite is that they have to have already won a federal funding opportunity. Virtually, they've been vetted by the federal government already. The stakeholders, on the other hand, why they need Deep Tech Showcase, it's for a couple big reasons, but the biggest one is the frictionless networking. Virtually, they have problems, they have challenges, they can't necessarily find the companies that are out there and to best solve what they're looking for because they just have so many people and companies coming across them. They virtually need someone to vet these companies for them and only bring them the most relevant ones. And that's virtually what we call the frictionless networking. It's we do the vetting, we present our companies to these stakeholders, and virtually it leads to a hot lead, meaning that they already know about you. They want the introduction, not you want the introduction with them. Of course, you want the introduction with everyone, but it means they want the introduction with you. So again, the way it works is the stakeholders have to tell Deep Tech Showcase, and they tell us what they're looking to invest in, what they're looking for contracts in, what they're looking to collaborate on. Finally, you share your material with us, give a company overview. We virtually put together a company profile for you, and we present that profile to the relevant stakeholders that you're going after, whether it be industry partners, agencies, or investors. Finally, again, the hot introduction follows. It is them saying that they are interested in your company. They want to explore this topic further. But beyond this different path, we have the stakeholders seeing you at one of our events. And really, we'll skip that. What our events are showcases, which are our keystone events. This happens 4 times a year. At the showcase are all 3 types of stakeholders. So the investors, the industry partners, and the agencies. And this is really giving you exposure to all 3, and things happen in real time. The relationships happen in real time. The pitching happens in real time. Feedback also happens in real time. Then beyond that, we have pitch events to just investors 8 times a year. And then also we have industry specific webinars to stakeholders and people that are interested in your industry. That happens 12 times a year. The exact number, honestly, will probably end up being more than that. Some things in the pipeline for Deep Tech Showcase, what we're looking on to improve, what we're looking to add to our scope of work. Again, Deep Tech Showcase, this is only our second full cycle being around. So we are constantly exponentially growing at such a high rate that we want to expand into having focus groups that are led by the federal agencies and major corporations. They're saying what they're looking for directly to the people that they're looking into. Finally, it's the mentoring program. We want you to have access to people who have succeeded in your space and be able to use as a mentor. What the deliverables are for Deep Tech Showcase members. It is pretty simple. We'll start with the most important part. In our opinion, it's the hot leads. It's at least one introduction with a stakeholder every single month. This is something that is absolutely invaluable because, again, it is not you expressing interest in the specific stakeholder. It's the stakeholders already expressing interest in you. If it's one introduction a month, that means that we're of course showing it to more than one stakeholder. So it's, again, it's at least one, could be up to 3. Okay, the second big half of what the deliverables are is the pitching to stakeholders. This happens for every single one of our members 4 times a year. The first is participating in a showcase, which again is exposure and direct exposure to all 3 types of our stakeholders, the industry partners, agencies, and investors. The second is 2 different pitch events. You will be pitching directly to investors twice during that year. And then finally, it's one industry webinar where at least 100 registrants are interested in your company, in your technology, in your field. So do you think Deep Tech Showcase is a good fit for you? Ask yourself these 3 questions. Are you looking to raise a funding round? Are you looking for a strong strategic partner? And finally, are you looking for more federal contracts or MOUs or pilots with the different agencies? If the answer is yes, then obviously we should be talking. But let's take a look at our first Deep Tech Showcase that happened only a month ago. We had 2 different sessions where 12 different companies pitched. to 17 different panelists. And if you want the recordings of it, you can find it on YouTube, or I can send it to you directly. It was a couple hours long. We have them broken down in between the different pitching companies or the entire event itself. So just let me know, send me an email, and I can send that over to you. Again, the QR code that you are seeing in the bottom left-hand corner, it will take you directly to my calendar. So if you want to talk about Deep Tech Showcase, you want us to learn more about your company and see if you're a good fit for us, as well as just explore this further, just use the QR code, take out your phone. You can hold your camera right up to it, and it should pop up a link to my Calendly page for us to schedule a call either this week or next. So we had two different panels and pitches during this first showcase. The first was a general pitch, and the second was a space pitch event. To talk about the first general event and some people, some stakeholders who were involved, you can see on the screen that we had Anzu Partners, Capital Factory, WWTS, Moog, SAIC, CISA, Allstate Strategic Ventures, and Fails Cloud Security. Those were some of the panelists. Some of the companies that were on it were Exosonic, Westlight AI, RoboTire, Vocalytics AI, Greetly, and Nanoramics Laboratories. And then on the space tech pitch event, we had Starburst Aerospace, we had Tesla Science Foundation, Google, Space Force from the United States Air Force, we had Capital Factory, Prime Movers Lab, Army Applications Laboratory, and we had the Space Fund. So these were all stakeholders that were panelists on our space tech pitch event. Some of the companies were B612, Flight Material Science Corporation, Elementum 3D, Quantum Interface, Irradiant Technologies, and OptiPulse Inc. The impact of our last event, and of course, these are still growing day by day, but there were 11 introductions to the DoD and from us to our companies to the DoD within 5 days of the event. And during the actual event, multiple stakeholders were privately having discussions with a lot of the companies that were there. Some of our newest members as of this past week, we have AXA Venture Partners, we have Mass Ventures, Lockheed Martin, Siemens, Greenbackers Investment Capital, as well as Samsung. Again, who our community really consists of, besides the small businesses and tech startups, are the federal government and some of the agencies, some investors, different corporations, as we just mentioned, mentors, accelerators. These are some of the big stakeholders that are part of our community. Now let's talk about the money, right? What do we charge for this? Well, again, we just launched. This is our second time. This is our second cycle doing it, and we're only growing. So for this, until the end of Q1, our current annual membership is $15,000. Again, that is for 4 pitch events, one introduction every single month as well. Starting in Q2, the price for the annual membership will be $48,000. So that is where we're going starting in Q2. And then companies that work with Eagle Point Funding, again, Eagle Point Funding, if you're not familiar, they are a strategic grant writing and consulting firm. They virtually find all the federal funding and federal agencies that have grant opportunities and contracts for your company, and then they help to physically write the grants. If you want to talk about them as well, just let me know and I'll be more than happy to speak to you. But for companies that Eagle Point Funding has clients and win an opportunity, we give them 1 quarter sponsored to Deep Tech Showcase for free, as well as they have the option to switch between services and work with both Deep Tech Showcase and Eagle Point Funding at the exact same time. So thank you all for joining. If you have any questions, please submit them to the Q&A. Please submit them to the chat. We can talk. If you want to book a call with me, my QR code is right on the screen, or you can use the direct link to my Calendly, as well as you have my email right there. So please feel free to reach out via email, book a call with me. We can discuss more. I would love to learn more about your company, more about your technology, more about which of our different parts of Deep Tech Showcase most interests you. So thank you all for joining. Again, thank you. I hope it was informational and you had a good time. Please stay safe, and I hope to talk to you soon.